Mic check, you know, here. We've been having audio issues and the microphones are giving up the ghost, or whatever the term is. I don't even know what that term is. Giving up the ghost. Okay, I get what that term is. So we're just testing for audio. And because this is live, we've got to test it live.
It's waiting for the stone on that. Waiting for it. I'm right here.
Well, we don't need to wait that much longer. Plus, where is I need the tablet, whatever. Headlines for today. I don't really want to talk too much in case there's no sound. So I really need, you know, to know. I get a little bit like, you know, I'm just diva-ish. It's like, I don't know what's going on. Can someone please tell me? Oh, no, I'm now talking to, I'm now saying I'm just such a diva. It's like, oh, where's the sound? Where's the audio? What's going on? You know, toss the mic. Oh, I can't do this anymore. So Beyonce and Madonna and them, they're also, when they're performing, there have been many instances, well, I'm just citing names, there have been many instances where their microphones don't work, and they're like, you know, I remember this long ago, Madonna's Blonde Ambition tour, and the song Keep It Together. And keep it together forever and ever, keep it together. And I think this is actually a John Lennon song. I can't, something, I don't know. But anyway, her mic failed, and you know, but that's a concert. This is just, I'm saying I could perhaps be more diva-ish than Madonna and Beyonce. Like,
what did she do when her mic failed?
Oh, just, you know, I mean, she's got a full, like, a crew that watches her every move to make sure.
Yeah.
So she was dancing, and she continued singing, and just like, you know, and kept dancing. These are professionals. Speaking of which, Madonna is touring at the moment, and she's 65. And look, I don't like some of the things Madonna has done to her face, etc. But 65 years old, and this woman is still performing, and you know, and she's dressed in her fancy out. Madonna is she's Madonna-ing. And oh my gosh, women are like, put it away, you know, you're too old, you've got to stop now. I'm like, oh, do you say that to the Strolling Bones and Sir Paul Skeletoni? Hello, McCartney. I'm sorry, like.
That was good. It sounds Italian.
I know.
Sorry,
no, it's not. But the problem with that is that he's not Italian. He's McCartney. As a McCartney is Scottish. So McBones, Paul McBones. I don't know. He's not. They look great for their age.
But no one gives them shit.
No one gives them shit. No one even gives people like, I don't know, is this a bad thing? I'm not sure, but I think Kenny Rogers might have passed away. And if he hasn't, my apologies. Please don't let me start a rumor here that doesn't exist. But he is so, you know, Kenny Rogers, Islands in the Stream. Yeah. That's where we are. I hate that song. I've always hated that song.
Right. You know all the words to it.
Because I love Dolly. Now, none of these women in the public eye are seemingly allowed to age naturally. I intend to change that, folks. But having said that, I feel it is also my right as a woman, as an older woman, because I've earned the right to do this, to like, see this? Look, it kind of irritates me. And the more I look at it, because I look at all these photographs of myself or whatever, I'm like this, ugh. And it's like, oh my gosh, look, I don't know. So see, this is what happens. So imagine being in the public eye and having your image plastered on billboards and the screen. Except as an actor and an entertainer, this is your moneymaker, because this is where all your expression lies. I don't want someone to sing to me about love, like, I don't care about it. Madonna, oh wow, I cannot believe how the vitriol she has to endure. It's really shit. It's, you know, okay, so she can no longer move like Madonna is a trained dancer. So she's always going to want to dance. Why do people, and it's funny as someone in my 50s, then you see, now you were seeing clips, etc., of young people posting, etc. Look at my dad, look at him go. I'm like, what did you think your dad was born 50? You know, and when women are dancing as they're older, all of a sudden it's like, wow, you can move. I'm like, yes, I was moving way before you were born. You know, it's weird, you know? And because of the way you dance, I guess people think you're younger. Not just the way you dance, the way you look. I love it. I mean, no, I don't. I don't want to be someone. This is why I really enjoy when you grow your beard out too, because then it's like,
Yeah, sure.
you know, I love all of you. Anyway, sorry to digress. I do. He distracts me. Just so beautiful. So what, Madonna? Look, it's pathetic how people who cannot do are sitting at home looking at Madonna. But I'm going to tell you one thing. Is it the right of the audience to do that? My darling, what do you think? And you just heard that live because Dwayne's sound check.
Yeah,
do you think the audience has a right to critique the way they do?
Yes.
Maybe about the art, right?
Maybe. I think a little bit, yes, of course, because they're paying for it.
Well, yes, I feel that too. So, which means to me that I also feel that audience people, human beings who buy the things, but all these people who are critiquing aren't necessarily the people who buy the products, etc., go to the things, you know. But I don't know. I mean, Madonna's had sold out concerts everywhere, and but she just looks alien. She's so intent on not looking old that it looks unnatural. But the world doesn't want to accept older women just being naturally hot. Like at the moment, it's okay. Oh gosh, except for look at how the light just absolutely. Thank you. This is me. Not that non-melanated look that was going on there. I think 50s. It's fine now. Back when I was 20, women in their 50s, I guess, were deemed old. Not for me. My mother was 50 when I was 18. And now that I'm 53, I look back and think, oh my gosh, my beloved mother, but this is not going to be about my mother. I do need to talk about her completely. I can talk about my mother all the time. I could talk about my mother and Dwayne all day, every day. My mother, just Sushil, you know, just, yeah. Anyway, but Sushil was hot her entire life. I was my mother's carer for the last few years of her life. She lived with me for the last 10 years of her life. She passed away when she was 80. And she was just so strong and capable and beautiful, loving, despite all the trauma that she carried in her. Never passed it on. But anyway, my mother was always, you know, just so she was in her 30s when she had me and late 30s when she had my brother. And that she was always, and look, those of you who know my origin story know that I have a lot of violence in my past. My mother was abused and battered, domestic violence, both my mother and me. My mother, I contend with flashbacks now in my healing trajectory. With the more clarity I have, unfortunately, clarity also brings memories, full memories, because we don't ever forget our memories, that we just lose the ability to access them. We retain everything, but our conscious mind is a sieve and takes away what is not required. I'm sorry that I've digressed here because I'm talking about Madonna and all that, but I know that women don't actually lose their vitality as they get older. Menopause actually brings a fresh round of vitality, but we've got to go through some hell for it. It seems we seem to forget that before we get the electricity of youth, we go through cramping periods in your teens. Not that you know, darling, but you have sisters, so you may know.
Well, I've seen.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You know, right. But women, you know, in our teens, girls and cramps in our teens and 20s are like, we go through hell, but we're also vital and vibrant and youthful. That's that electricity. It happens again at menopause when our bodies, because that first hell we go through internally is to prepare our bodies for fertility, because women were given the responsibility of a womb, not the role, maybe the role as well as the responsibility. So the responsibility first, and then the role was assigned to woman. Okay? And now it is solely a role, no longer a responsibility. We have 8 billion people in this world. I don't think we need any more. And I know you may really, really crave having a child of your own, but you really, really need to ask yourselves why. It is just our biological urge. It is not your human right. It was a responsibility. Now, the wrong people are having children. People whose DNA should not combine are having children. People whose brains have not been, fully grown to their full potential and capacity. Brains don't stop growing till they're 25. You have children having children. You have the stupidest. You have people not at all prepared for the responsibility of having children.
It's like ginger in your tea.
Oh, well, all right. If we have ginger, then I will have ginger in my tea. We've been sort of, I really enjoy this. We're having some like a fasting from what it is that you have every day, because that allows your palate to reset. And then when you drink or eat or do something again, it's like, oh, this feels good. This tastes good. So I like that. I like to be constantly like, oh, this is wonderful, even if I've done or had that thing hundreds and thousands of times before. So I was talking about Madonna, and I digressed to my mother and a little bit of domestic violence information thrown in. Look, I am continuing this series in trauma therapy. The playlist is there on the channel. And that's where I am going to talk a lot about it all, because it's not getting better. Domestic violence is actually getting worse. Now, and so women are having children battered mentally, emotionally, and physically abused. Physical abuse. Now, there's this other thing we all do is trauma Olympics. So people who've been emotionally traumatized think that's always say, well, it's the worst thing. Yes, it is the worst thing to be mentally abused, because physical trauma we can take, we grow out of, but the mental scars still stay. For me, and I'll talk about this in depth, for me, the trauma, the PTSD, it's not about me. The grief I feel isn't about me. It's about my mother. It's about knowing now what she, as a 53-year-old woman, knowing what she went through her life. My grief knows no bounds. I will need to talk about it somewhere else, but this is the Daily Egg. I will talk about these things on trauma therapy, but I will continue to talk about it here because we need to talk about everything. And this is a show about everything. So I was talking about children. Really, really know why you're having children. Understand if you are having a craving for a child, it's a biological urge, and it's also because there is a hole in you, and it's not just your womb. And males, yes, males do have cravings. I know there are men who have, and I feel that they have a maternal energy in them, because I also know men who are extremely good with children who've never wanted to have children of their own. And you and I have talked about it, how it would have been when we were, younger, to have a child of our DNA combination. But then I think, what for? What for? Even if I was younger, darling, I would have to think, well, with everything that we do, our skills, aren't those enough as what we create? And if we wanted to have a child, for what purpose? Would we, if we really wanted to have a child, would we adopt? If we really wanted to have something and someone to care for, would we get a pet? I'm not saying children are pets, but this is what a lot of people use children for, as pets. as possessions. I have seen it. People use children as validation, as some sort of trophy, as a love substitute. Like, oh, if I make my own child, they're going to love me. And then they damage even more. Or they have children as some sort of status symbol, or because it's fun and cool to have kids. And when you're young, they all seem to just pop them out. And not just women. Guys just seem to sow their seeds because they think that's manly. Nah, mate, that just means you can't keep it in you. You're that weak. I see these regular viewers know I talk about these Bogans who seem to live, but they've quietened down for the moment because I glare, and then they see Dwayne and they get a bit scared. No, not that Dwayne's scary, but they're the type who I think, and I am stereotyping, and I am definitely stereotyping, but I feel that they're racist. At the start they were trying to be intimidating, come out and like look at me what I was doing, like. Sorry about it. I wish you didn't have to say that. But also, I've decided to not do that attitude and be more like, hey guys, we're chill. Let's be cool with everybody. This is something also that you do all the time. You diffuse rather than ignite.
Don't be a dick.
Don't be a dick is the words of wisdom today. Don't be a dick. Because that's the thing. So I don't want animosity. I want, if we don't have to be friends, but
you don't have to be a dick.
You don't have to be a dick. Yeah, exactly that. Anyway, but a couple who used to live there had children, and my gosh, the way that child was talked to, yelled at, just get out of my way, whatever. And I do know this, not because I literally know this from this, but because I know other people, and this is how it works in Australia. Young people get parent benefits, and so you have a child, you get more and more benefits. You have a disability of some sort, and I'm not sure what the ex-neighbor had before, but. They certainly but am I being a negative? You can't do that. You don't know. There's invisible things. Yeah, I do know. I've lived with trauma my entire life, and broken bones and pain, constant, chronic, sharp, debilitating pain, and I have never shown that and expected sympathy and pity for it. I do need to be massaged every day for it. I've not taken medication for it. So I guess I'm going to talk about this too. What are people's capacity for pain? What's going on? I'm a bit astonished about people's inability to withstand pain. And I'm going to talk further about this. Let me just write it down so I know what I'm talking about. Why can't people handle pain? And okay, I'm going to go into this, especially celebrity. Is it because they have to be ultra sensitive for their craft, and the fact that they are celebrities and that their lives are out and open, so they have to be they're unfortunately extremely sensitive?
Maybe.
And so I'll talk about that later. I've got to just tie the loose ends of the threads I start. So yes, I do want to normalize things. Why is everything about war? Why is everything about war? Why is everything decided by war? Okay, we go to war. We're going to front up and have animosity. Because even if one party doesn't want war, the other party does, because there's always someone who needs to win. Especially people of insecurity. The more insecure you are, the more I see the need to win. And this is what is fueling the world. And this is the majority of people alive today. And these are the people who were born and should not have been. Because majority of the world has procreated with the wrong people. And so don't stop, be bigoted about same-sex couples having children. What have heterosexual couples done? What good have they done to the world? You know, and you're going to blame gay people and non-binary people. Who brought them into this world? Also, there's a real lack of identity in everybody. Of course, these people are not. These people, like, they're separate. No, they're not separate. Of course, people are going to identify as non-binary when they've been born to people who don't know who they are, and they had children to find out who they are. A lot of people have children and say, yes, I found who I am now. No. Find out who you are first and then have children. But now I'm talking about millennia full of fuckery. God. Anyway, but now if you feel the need to have children, really ask yourself why. If it's to create a closer bond with your partner, please. You should have had that bond in place before, because that stuff, child rearing, is going to test you. And you should know, I have not got children of my flesh and blood. I made a deliberate decision not to have children, but that doesn't mean I haven't been a mother, and regular viewers know this, but just in case you're watching this for the first time, I have brought up 5 children for over 2 decades. They're born to other people. Their parents are alive and well, flourishing, etc. My ex-partner's children, his ex-wife, very fertile, cold, doesn't really give a shit about anyone else except herself, except it looked really good because she's all thin and tall and she just pops babies out whenever she wants. And what she did was to use that as womb rental. And that's fine, because there's a lot of women who have children for their partners, because only women, can have children, although they're really trying their best to make that something that is obsolete. I mean, in the state of America, the land of the free, except if you're a woman and black and multicultural. Depending on the multicultural, of course, there's a hierarchy of that. Whatever's trending this year. Yeah. Ooh, what's happening there? We've got lemons happening. Oh, yummy. You're making a flu bomb, baby. Oh, yeah. If you joined us for our talk about on Saturday, then you would have seen, our produce. And because we weren't driving, we didn't, or do we? That means we got a lot and you carried it all. We experimented with public transport, very easy to get to, because there's traffic and there's all this and there's waiting in traffic and everyone's beeping, and Saturday is the day people have to get to do their things, even though we're now at 24/7, not quite 24/7. Australia's a little bit backwards in that way, but Saturdays really now. People who work 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, when do they get to go and do their thing? So they have to do it on Saturday, and everything's so busy. So it was quite easy to get there by public transport. And, it was fun, except that you then have to curtail or limit what you are going to purchase in terms of fruit and vegetables, because that stuff gets heavy. And my husband was one billum here, one knapsack here, all these bags here, and just carrying. And I'm like, and my flowers, la. But he won't let me carry anything.
You carried a couple bags?
When we walked through the door and I took them off you so you could take your shoes off. Anyway, what am I talking about? Children, right? So I know the maternal bond. I know it deeply, deeply. I have this bond with those children that I brought up. They were mine and everything except flesh. And when I say mine, I don't mean it in a possessive way like, ugh, parents do. I've seen it. These are my kids. All right, great, I know. But you don't own them. It's really strange how parents develop an ownership over children rather than a custodianship. Like, these are children in my care rather than my children. And I know that words, no one's got time apparently to add a few more words to a sentence. So when people say my children, it should be about, well, these children are my responsibility. But no, people use that my as a possessive thing. And then they think that they can do whatever they want to those kids. That adults, they flaunt the laws. Like, for instance, oh my God, I need to write this down. What is wrong with pet owners, especially dog owners, especially Euro people? What is wrong with you? Why? Look, I'm not a pets person because I don't feel like I need to collect. Well, I don't need pets, and I'm not.
You don't need to own anything.
I don't need to own.
Another being.
Yeah, I don't need to own another being. Having said that, we have plants in our care, and I see plants as living beings. But and look, it's taken some real testing over the decades, because at times I have been a serial killer of plants, but not anymore.
Purpose.
No, but that was before in my trauma fog, when it was my life force was contained in me, because my trauma, otherwise it would burst out. But with us, my darling, in the last 6 years, I have just become the proverbial plant lady.
Flower child.
Flower child. The neighborhood flower child is what I'm called. Anyway, so children, right? So I know the maternal bond. Now, I do, pets are love. I feel that people love purpose, and that's why they have pets. It's not always about ownership, and that's definitely about children as well. Children is not about ownership, but it is about purpose. So this is what I'm saying. Get yourself together before you have the child. Everyone thinks if they have the child, that gives them purpose. But they've already passed on the DNA of trauma. They've already given birth to their insecurities. And they brought forth a blank canvas that they're going to put all of that on before they find themselves. And then they blame the children for what the children need. The children are dependent upon you until they can fend for themselves. And when they start fending for themselves, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, don't do that. I hope we're not losing audio on this, because I've said a few things here that I'd like to perhaps take notes from to write about, because I feel that people, if they don't feel like watching, and of course you can read, and there is a transcript, so I can't actually, there is a transcript, but the sound has to be on. Damn it. So I'm just going to, great. So yeah, purpose. We all need purpose. So pets give people purpose and companionship, particularly cats. Now dogs become the best friend. They just, my owners are the best. They don't think like that. I don't think animal species look at humans and go, our owners. I don't see humans as being superior to any other animal on this planet. I see us in conjunction, which is the natural law. And the reason why our species then evolved to be human beings is because perhaps we were the ones considered, we were the DNA, more flexible. PSA, I know I talk about this a lot, and regular viewers know it, but you do know scientifically our species, through, gosh, no, millennia, we're talking a long, how long? I don't know, thousands of years, whatever. When, way before we were way before we were even animals, with rodents, we were rodents with fur. Way before that, we somehow came out of the water and without legs. We didn't come out as beautiful mer people all of a sudden losing our tails. You wish. I wish. But we were not that pretty. We were slug-like. But something about that slug was, I need to be on land. And that slug, or whatever it was, Dwayne does a really, really good imitation of how it's sort of, and I don't want to see it. You can do it again, darling. But it's, okay, it was a one-off. It was a very one-off thing. That, and that water that our, ancestor Zero slugged out of, that water, people assume water is just a product of the earth. I know I did until I had to fact check myself. Water is a product of out there. It was deposited on this planet, which was an inferno. Dwayne called it, well, it was literally hell. A planet that was forming, getting itself together through volcanic activity, lots of chaos and turmoil, raging fire, etc., etc. No one of these people like to put hellfire and brimstone. Yeah, that was Earth. The heart. Earth. That was Earth. And then from the heavens came a big rock or something, or a spaceship, and deposited this thing, these elements on our planet, which, because of the proximity of that great flying rock, melted what it was carrying. And what it was carrying was water. And, just a deluge.
Imagine, yeah, exactly. Just imagine a asteroidal ice entering the atmosphere and just melting.
Yeah.
That's your delusion.
That's it. The great flood. Yep, absolutely. So there you go. There's your spirituality. And that's where water came from. And from that water, we did. Isn't that magical? Isn't that just absolutely spiritual? Of course, we're connected to everything out there. We're connected to this planet. We then slugged out of the water, retained that ability, the fact that we are mainly water. And then from this land, somehow or the other, we were forged. We are of this land. I look at us as we're all just energies that fill the space, like membranes of the land, the land. So when we come through into the world, we fill the atoms on this planet, and like our essence is in then, and Earth is in an earthly vessel. Then is that? Am I? Like how say if it's all glad, something is glad wrapped, but we. Like those nail things you can put your face in, like that. I feel like the Earth is just a membrane of, and then we put, oh gosh, I'm in kind of thing.
Yeah, cool.
And that's the vessel we are born with. And I know that it's unfair, but I'm telling you now, that's because of the vessels that I'm birthing. I'm not talking about women. Women we were perfect, as was man, I guess. Somewhere along the line, because our brain evolved to have free will. Ah, dear. Ego got inflated. We do need ego, but is it that simple? Like you say there's something missing. There's something missing in our evolution for sure. But what people don't want to believe, and everyone still wants to look for a magical, out there, different answer, missing link, which I do believe there is a missing link in something in our evolution. But people want to think there is some mysterious, magical reason why we believe in God, etc., and why, all these things, and why human beings. And for me, it was simply because not all human beings were born knowing what to do. Some people are. And those people then get exalted into being in positions of leadership. So anything to do with hierarchy originally and at first had to do with leadership. The people who knew what to do were in positions of leadership. Now you have people who should not have been in positions, I'm being polite, no animosity. I don't have animosity. I just get a little bit belligerent. And
I have to remind you, your words are
powerful. And I really, it's my conditional love that is a mattress to everything. So I do everything with love, but I'm not an unconditional loving person. My love is very selective, and that's what we've made this mistake about, thinking that love is unconditional. We've got to change with the times. Love should have been unconditional, because that is what we are naturally suffused with. Our cells are all full of love, and it's everything else that dilutes or destroys. Children aren't born loving. People like to say children they know unconditional love. Bullshit. Children will love who loves them the most. That's conditional. And then now, of course, children love who ignores them, because they want that attention, because they're children. So now children chase after people who don't love them, and they become human beings. Human beings. Children are still magical, so maybe they're not. Dwayne says, what do they know? They've come out of the other side. It's crazy. They don't just come out of, they come out of our DNA. They come out of our ancestral DNA. This egg that got fertilized with cells. They came from somewhere. They didn't just, people don't like to think that. And you don't have to. It's okay. Because thinking and unpacking is hard work. I'm not saying you can't do it. I'm saying everyone is capable of doing it. But everyone is so bogged down and drowning and sinking in the mire of the stress of life, the daily grind, the cost of living. We've forgotten how to think. Anyway, let's talk about Madonna. I'm very grateful that my mother, that I was born to my mother. I guess I have to be grateful that I was born to my father as well, because there's a lot about him that I am grateful for to have in my DNA. But yeah, I think it all comes down to choice, how you choose to be. How you are is a choice. You don't have to be a belligerent asshole. You don't have to have children. All of these are choices. And men, if you want to have children, well, you do then have to be with a woman who also wants to have children. But then perhaps you both have to decide, really figure out, why do you want children? If you want children to care for someone, first, go care for something that depends on you completely. You know, we used to do this thing in school, like care for an egg, you know, as if or care for a rock. And that was, I don't know if they do these things anymore, but teaching you the responsibility of looking after another human being. Look after this rock. This is why children, particularly girls, get baby dolls. And it's not really because, girls should play with dolls only. It's about, well, they're the responsibility of looking after that doll. And yes, boys should be able to play with all of that, because hell, I played with, trucks and bows and arrows and, guns, etc., and shit like that. Excuse me, toys are for every child. And boys are supposed to grow up to be fathers going, ew, I don't want to touch a doll. Excuse me? For that, well, we're here. Why don't boys wear Wonder Woman t-shirts? We're going into pop culture, Eurostream characters and fiction, sorry. My favorite character and my favorite superhero, who is the strongest superhero, regardless of your, canon, regardless of where you find your superheroes. My first superhero, though, is my mother. And then after that, I just wanted a best friend superhero, and that was Wonder Woman, Diana Themyscira. So why don't boys get Wonder Woman t-shirts when girls get the Superman logo? We get Supergirl as well. We got Batman and Batgirl. There's no Wonder Man, because for some reason, because it was that title was first attributed to a woman, it's then seen as a dilution.
Yeah, wow.
Wonder Boy, Wonder Man.
There is a Wonder Boy.
Yes, but Wonder Boy, where's Wonder Man? You're Wonder Man. You are Wonder Man. But there's a Supergirl.
But I don't think it has a ring to it, does it? I think it's all about the sound of it.
Yes, it is about the cadence and how
like
something.
Peter Parker.
Yes, it's always about the second word. So it's the cadence of things and how things flows, which is why I actually do not like the pronunciation of my name by a non-Hindi speaking, but non-Indian, but also non-cultural person. Particularly a Euro tongue cannot say my name correctly, and then it becomes very harsh. And to them, it's all like Sandy and it's like, it's weird. It's like, that's not, I have flow in my name, but you have to say it correctly. My name has flow and power. Say it correctly. So yes, this is, where was I with this? Children. Oh gosh, all of this is a decision. And ask yourself, why? Males, ask yourself, why do you want a child? You want to look after someone. Hell of a lot of people in this world need looking after. And I know it's not the same as looking after a child that comes from you, but that's ego. That's ego. Because all of a sudden you look at this child and go, oh yes, now I want to protect the world. You should have been wanting to do that from the moment you were born. And that's a chain reaction, sadly. And then once you get out of that, once you become an adult and you make the choice, and then you go, okay, I want to look after the world. Then that is what being an adult is. No, not having purpose, like, here, this is your purpose. No, find your purpose and then give freely and hopefully earn from it too. Or not, you don't have to earn from your purpose, but have purpose. Everyone looks to everything else to have purpose. Everything looks to paying bills is their purpose. No wonder there's no growth. Getting rich is people's purpose. That should not be your purpose. Living well and having wanting others to live well should be your purpose. Yes, absolutely want for yourself a life without struggle, but you cannot have it for yourself without wanting it for others. Whew. Dwayne and I have had the most restful weekend, and we needed it. We worked, sure, but we also were able to, exhale. And it was really nice to be reminded that life is to exhale. It is to be with people you care for. It is to be, in your sanctuary. And I think a lot of people think that people don't go out, just stay home and twiddle their thumbs. I can assure you, us and even single people, there's a lot to do at home if you have purpose. Thank you very much. And I think a lot of people give themselves purpose by having plants, by having pets. It's lovely. If you have a cat, well, no, you become their reason to go in and out of your house, I think. I don't have cats, but I know enough about cats now, and I love cats. And interestingly enough, I read somewhere that it's a real red flag. If a man doesn't like cats, that's a real red flag. And I love this term, red flag. It's the Gen Z term, and I love it. Red flags, yes, absolutely. Well, the red flag is if a man doesn't like cats. I believe that because cats are like women. Or somebody in that where I read it was like equating cats, not cats like women, but women's, some behavior. Yeah, but also no, independent. Don't touch me unless I want you to, and then I'm all sensual about it. So in terms of a lot of that, and independent and agile, and just can be and also So for the last 3 decades of my life, really, I've been convinced I don't like cats. Now, I don't like pets. I don't ever want pets. I just don't like that responsibility of pets, really. Speaking of responsibility, tattoos also come under that. But I don't like responsibility of looking after something that depends on you. And perhaps that's another thing, another reason why I didn't have children. But I ended up then bringing up 5 children from babyhood to adulthood. And the woman who gave birth to them, I had to defend the children she gave birth to her. She was very much a part of their lives. They chose not to go to her because who wants to go to their mother's house and she's like, all right, dears, well, I'm going to go out for a drink with the girls. You guys just do whatever you want. I'm like, oh, wow. They might as well just not have gone. And so my stepchildren would come home and say to me, look, I don't want to go to her place anymore. It's like, okay, great. Well, I did need a weekend off, but okay. Then after that, because parents shouldn't expect weekends off. We don't live in a world where the village looks after the child. Before, when children were born, because it was supposed to be such a big responsibility, a huge celebration was made for that child. And we still have these rituals and traditions in place, except we don't have the money to go with it, And why? What do you... It's crazy. Rich people celebrate the birth of their children because it's like, yes, there's my wealth. I'm going to pour it into that child, and that child will then go and pour it back into me when they're older. I don't know what people do. So I just knew I did not want to give birth. And for me, okay, let's be honest, I find pregnancy repulsive, but I am in awe of women who get pregnant. I hadn't finished one thing I was saying about the state of America, the land of the not so free. Well, your womb is owned by the government, patriarchal government, mind you. And they're apologists, they're foot soldiers, they're these misogynist women. Like, you should listen to what they say. Where do they come from? I will only listen to people who didn't come from vaginas and women's stomachs. To do with a woman's body. How someone should be with their own body. Okay? Having said that, I have critiques. So I feel, we were talking about Madonna at the start, and I'm going to round it back to that. But as I was saying, the state of America, there is no women are losing autonomy of it. They're losing the right to govern their wombs. And now, what have they been doing in this state of America since about 2017? And this started, I believe, way, way, way back. I haven't got the fact to correlate this, but I am pretty sure that when Dolly, that sheep that was cloned, and I perhaps we'll talk more about it tomorrow, I think this led to them thinking that they can do this. And so now they are creating artificial wombs so that same-sex couples, particularly males, can have biological children. Please understand also, I know intersectionality is, it was coined by a Black woman, Black American woman, to describe, just clarify and quantify where everyone stands in these constructs. Now, I don't see it as a ladder. I definitely see it as a pyramid, and it's a very elitist pyramid because it should be a plateau and, of equity. But on these ladders, right? Look, I best talk about it tomorrow because also not just because I've just lost my thread. What was I saying? So, gosh, I'm so sorry. I've lost my thread. So, okay, privilege is what I'm talking about. There's a privilege ladder, intersectionality of privilege, right? And that's what this ladder is about. So, I do have to say, friends, as I hate this word, inclusive, because who is anyone to say something is inclusive or not, or people are inclusive or not? So gay people and LGBTQI people, why they're part of the world, so therefore they're included. Who is someone to say non-inclusive or marginalized community? I don't use that term. I say communities that have been marginalized. It's a big difference in marginalized community. That's a community that says, yes, we are marginalized, woe is us. And big difference between that and a community that has been marginalized by the constructs. So now, privilege. They're creating artificial wombs so that males, sorry, darling, I haven't really engaged you much in conversation today. Okay, great. Yeah, sorry. So that males can, same-sex couples, males especially, men especially, can have children of their own biology, which, look, it's lovely. As I said earlier, what have heterosexual couples done to really prove that they're the ones who should only have children? Like, excuse me. And on our podcast, Radio Fly, we have an episode, I'm sure it's that, and Dwayne said something really beautiful, like, because on this vein, that, well, maybe it's their time too, because we believe, and may I talk for you on this one, that energy is binary, that within us, our energy is binary, that you can be gay, but you can be a masculine or feminine energy inside that. You can be non-binary, but your energy isn't. Energy needs to be binary. Non-binary energy, well, I don't know if does it exist?
I don't know.
The whole concept of energy is to combine to create a reaction.
What's the dilemma?
With non-binary people?
Why is it non-binary now?
Too long a conversation for us to right now.
Don't know who they are, or what? Where did that term come from? What is it?
Because they don't identify as woman and they don't identify as man.
So they don't identify as one or the other.
Yes.
So then they become non-binary.
Yes.
So they're neither.
They're neither.
Male or female.
But on the inside, and by looking, you can tell that someone is a female. But they don't.
Like scientifically, you can tell.
Yes, but they don't feel like that.
Energy is science.
Energy is fact.
Yeah, well, that's it. Science,
Mm.
The search for fact.
You can refute it all you want, but science is the search for fact. And facts change. Science changes. Science is not a perfect science. The whole point of science is to constantly be optimistic and then negative about it. Be optimistic about everything and then refute everything to find the truth.
Yeah.
And it's a constant pursuit of fact. And then from that fact, we get truth. So binary energy. Energy is binary. Energy is binary. And everything else, our vessels can be non-binary. And in this construct, binary, But at the moment, non-binary, well, they may be a bit higher up on the privilege ladder. Sorry to say so, people. But I'm getting a little bit annoyed at these women who are misogynists who choose to identify as non-binary queer because they hate other women. Not sure if they hate themselves. I think if you hate women, you hate yourself. Really, frankly, that's it. If you hate women, if you are a misogynist, it's because you hate yourself. You came from a woman. And if you are a woman, you hate other women because, I don't know, this is where I say women especially, because males provide the sperm and that is an important job, yes. Yes. But look, they're making the womb obsolete. Why aren't they making sperm obsolete? Why aren't they cracking down on sperm? Because they all know their sperm is malnourished. You know what's going on. The collective sperm is, because that's where it's all coming from. That's all where that's coming from. And then the womb has to incubate and create and be custodian of this being, and whatever. And how the woman is feeling goes into that. My mother went through the most horrific trauma and violence, and yet I was born with absolute love. I know. I can feel it in my DNA. But anyway, these are longer conversations that I'll continue talking about, etc. So we were talking about celebrities and stuff and pets, etc. I don't know why celebrities and pets. Yeah, because celebrities, I don't know. I think they collect things like pets. I don't think pets are a collection, but I think people do use animals to fill in some gaps. And I don't think they're gaps. I think that it's because we all require purpose. People need purpose. That is our whole point of us. When we don't have something to do, I'm not talking about work because work sucks. It's embarrassing that we have to work as human beings on a planet full of an abundant planet like this. We've got to work. And look, I get it. The more we progress, society progresses, evolves, our brains have given free will and the ability to innovate. How amazing. The innovators are very, very, very few. The innovators are actually the elite. And they're the ones who are the leaders. But the innovators aren't necessarily the leaders. There's the innovators, and then there's the people who are the executors. And they're the leaders because they can say, all right, well, I can organize all of this, and then they'll get the administrators to it. There's a huge hierarchy, and that hierarchy has changed. And it's made the elite of money all up there. They're not the innovators. People like, say, Musk, not an innovator at all, an executor. Gets the right people, finds the innovators. I'll talk about that another time. I just need to know what I need to round up. So why are wombs being governed and policed, and why isn't sperm? I think there needs to be something done there, but of course not. Oh my gosh, ask a man to get a vasectomy even after they've had children. It's like, no, not a vasectomy. Like, oh, for fuck's sake. It's crazy. So I have written here, I had written notes about what I was going to talk about. And, friends, I have talked about a few, but I haven't talked about what the first one was sleep, which I will have to talk about tomorrow, because sleep, we've had a restful weekend. We've worked, it was a bit of rest and we're all productive again. It's happy Monday, even though we're freelance creatives and we don't really have a Monday to Friday 9-to-5 job. We have a 24/7, sometimes 25/8. But in those days, we give ourselves hours of, let's just sit and chill for a while and breathe. Yes, but we haven't been able to exhale in a way like, oh gosh, it's nice to know that all the work we do has some purpose. If the purpose is to just rejuvenate us and make us feel like, okay, great, pumped up, ready to go again. Gosh, I hope this 4-day work week happens for people. It doesn't matter to us. We're not, it won't work for us, but I think people do need more rest days rather than work days. And oh my gosh, People as they get older are so tired. So tired. It is tiring. I have been fortunate. I have had a freelance creative's life my entire working life from 18. But no, I mean, I joined a corporation, but it was a radio station. So I've had a creative income, a life that I've earned income from creativity. And now in my 50s, so in a different world that AI is now taking over our jobs. But we will talk about AI tomorrow a bit, darling, because I have to say, and we should talk about it more on our podcast. But let me just wind this up. I do want to talk about why are we working? Why actually do people want other people to struggle? Why do we need to see other people bleed in order to see their productivity? It's so weird. And why? These questions. I can answer them. Oh, gosh. I was going to read news headlines to you, but look, I know we all know what's going on in the world. I hope you know. I hope you don't stick your head in the sand. And the favorite thing for me to say is that not even emus do that. It's just a term. Don't stick your head in the sand and not know what's going on. People who are just like, oh, life is so great. I mean, what are you? Enjoy life. By all means, do laugh. Take the time to laugh out loudly. Laugh. In amongst your misery and the trauma of this world and the trauma of yourself, laugh. My mother laughed. My mother had the most beautiful, delicate laugh. And sometimes I can hear it, even though sometimes my laugh isn't quite delicate. Sometimes it's just a cackle. I have a variety of laughs. Oh, gosh. So why do people want others to struggle? Why do we go to work? We will talk about these topics this week on The Daily Egg. I haven't finished about pets and why people, because pets give people purpose, and it's just custodianship. And people who have pets love their pets. But we also come from a country where people have pets just to use them to frighten other people, especially dogs. They use dogs to frighten other people. And it becomes quite awful. Like, concentration camp dictatorship crap. Oh my God. Life is so bad in Fiji that all houses now have barbed wire fences and security and dogs that they don't look after. And you have these German shepherds running around in compounds when they should be running free because they were once wolves. But now they're trained to bark at, oh God, they're even racist dogs. But the Euro construct has done that. They did this to the people of the Jewish faith when they were doing those horrible, heinous crimes to the people of Jewish faith. The people of Jewish faith do not want any more war. It is those that have been, traumatized by ego. Do you know the history of the leader of that colonized estate? Do you know his history? The name's not actually what the name is, the N name. That it's actually, his name's actually Russian, Polish, his grandfather. They're all generations of Zionists, generations of bigots. It's all there. And as Dwayne says, history's all there. Truth too, and fact. But people only want to hear or learn or know what fits their narrative and their comfort zones. And how they can exploit other people too. So people suppress information. Still talking about pets though. Pets give people companionship, Pets give people reason to exist because we are supposed to be custodians of everything on this planet, human beings. And look at what we're doing. We think we own animals. We think we own this planet, that we can mine it and rape it and, change it for what we want. We want the environment to adapt to us. When we were created to adapt to the environment. Look at what we can do and where we can live. We meant to, animals can't do the things that we can do. Well, a lot of them can swim and be on land at the same time. Hello, hippos, elephants, polar bears, not just fish, it's our species. We're meant to, but our particular species that eventually became Homo sapien, and sapien is supposed to mean wisdom. We're just custodians. And when I say just, I don't mean that there's anything small about it. what we are is we've been given this huge responsibility to be the custodians of this planet. And my friends, with that, I will say bye, because it is now time for the Daily Egg, which is the purpose of the show. The end of it. Thank you very much for being here today and watching today's show. As I said, we will continue talking about these topics for the rest of this week. Enjoy your Monday. It's really nice to wake up on a Monday and go, hey, happy Monday. It's really, really lovely. That's what weekends are for. So when you do wake up on the Monday to go to work, you're like, all right, that's good. I'm full of life again. So we need to now have a 4-day weekend and a 3-day work week. Thank you very much for being here. Bye.